Surprise, it's not Eric. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're enjoying your day so far. I'm obviously not 𝗖𝗿𝗲𝗁. Today is a special guest, and I wanted to host her today. So Eric very willingly let me. So for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to Art School Live, normally with Eric Rhodes, but today with Carrie Stober. I've been with Streamline for 12 years now. I wear a lot of hats here. I won't go into all of those details, but I love hosting Art School Live because it's a chance for me to learn some new things, especially when I don't get to paint as often. And today I'm really excited because we have an artist I met recently. Her name is Ann Strutz, and she is a pastel artist and a teacher, and I'm so excited for what she is going to be sharing with us today. So I'm going to welcome Ann.
Hi, everybody. So first, I'm putting this out there. This is my first online video experience. Lots of experience teaching, so have patience with me.
Yes,
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Carrie, for inviting me. I'm going to be showing a technique where I work with a brayer, which is a printmaking tool, water mixable oil, and pastels to create expressive painting. I love the brayer because it allows me to not get caught up in all the details, to look at the big shapes in a painting and just get to work. I'm an energetic painting, fast. I like to work large. So it's a great way to be expressive, to depart from what you are looking at, photograph or the view in front of you, to responding more to what is happening on the paper. So with that, I'm going to get on. I will talk all the way through and explain everything I'm doing while I'm working on the easel. And we have a slide of the materials that that are used when we do brayer painting. So you have a roller, which is the brayer is the roller. It has a rubber head, a rubber roller part. Some brayers have plastic. I find the rubber works the best because the ink sticks to it the best and it doesn't slide around on the paper. The paint is water mixable oil paint, which is a great sticky kind of paint. You can scrape into it. It doesn't move around a lot when I use pastel on top of it. And yes, if the paint's not too thick, you can apply the pastel right on top of it when it's still a little tacky. That's always a big question I get. You need a butcher panel or board, a piece of glass, any kind of palette that you can roll the paint out on. I typically have a razor around so that I can scrape off the paint if it's too thick, or also for mark making. I have a brush. Sometimes I actually will use the brush end of the brush, but typically it's to use the back end to scrape all over the surface. And then a Sharpie marker, just in case I want to add a little more touch up or black to the underpainting. So from here, I'm going to show, we're going to switch now and I'm going to get to work here. So the first thing is you need to load butcher tray. I was trying to find that word before.
Tray.
Not a butcher block. We're not in the kitchen. So to load a brayer, I've squirted my paint on the tray, and you just want to get a smooth application of paint on the brayer. There are many things you can do with this. You can make marks on it. You can, Dawn Emerson is my mentor. Dawn introduced me to this method, and then I took it and ran with it the way I wanted to use it. So a big shout out to her because it was a life changer for me. So anyway, I just use it straight up. Right now, it's pretty thick on here, and depending on the thickness of the paint, you will get different types of marks. So this is just a piece of just board, like cheap illustration paper, like you can get at even CVS, like illustration board for a class project, the back end of it. So I like to use, as far as papers, I will work on inexpensive paper. These paintings are quick, and they can, you can go through a lot of paper. So I like to practice. I recommend when you're first playing with this technique you use newsprint or any kind of inexpensive disposable paper, these are not things you're trying to save forever to create a
This is just
masterpiece.
practicing what kind of strokes and marks you can make with the brayer.
Yes, this is just, I'm just showing you because I assumed I've been painting with a brayer for about 8 years now. So I have assumed sometimes when I go to teach, everybody even knows what a brayer is. And people are like, what's a brayer? You know, what am I supposed to do with that? Even when you don't have as much paint, like when, you know, you'll play with it and see what it can do. I use the edges a lot. And then I'm going to put a big blob on here for a second. Like this is when it's not, you know, smooth. I get these blobs, but just to show you, if you get too much oil paint, pastel is not going to go over that. So I take a razor and I'll just take off the excess.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. And then what's really fun is you can then create like cool marks with that paint if you want to. All right. So this is just a big, crazy abstract of mark making. So it's water mixable oil, a brayer, inexpensive paper to practice on. Then
And I just
after,
want to interrupt you real quick. Is there
yeah,
a specific reason you use water mixable oil versus just regular oil paint?
good question. I use water mixable oil paint because 2 reasons. One, it dries a little faster, and to clean the brayer, it's really, really simple. You can use a baby wipe. Or
Gotcha.
at Home Depot, I get wipe, you know, those industrial wipes. I can clean it right up.
Oh, no.
It also doesn't, oil paint will spread like kind of that oily mark ring sometimes
Yeah.
around it on paper. And I don't find I get that with the water mixable oil paint.
Okay.
And on that note, I've tried gouache, I've tried acrylic, so and they just are slippery. I have not found them to work, but I never want to say to anyone not to try something because
Sure.
you have to experiment to learn what you want to do and what you like and you don't like and what works for you. So now this, when I move on to nicer paper, I will typically use either printmaking paper, like a heavier printmaking paper. I know we're not supposed to say brands, correct, on here?
Right.
Okay, so I'll use a heavier printmaking paper. Lots of them work, and then or a sanded pastel paper that can withstand water or getting wet. So this, I pre-prepared a piece of sanded paper with pastel and then an alcohol wash. You lay pastel on the paper, you spray it or use a brush with a little bit of rubbing alcohol in it in a
Mm-hmm.
little tub, and you just spread it and then you make your colored surface. So you can start on a colored ground.
Okay.
So that's my start here.
And you don't find that the alcohol will warp the paper, or does that not matter?
I tape it down. No, like this one, there might be a little bit, but no. I mean, some papers, some sanded papers won't handle the water, and you're not using a lot, or the alcohol. It dries very quick, and I have never had really any problem with it buckling. It's a pretty common technique for pastel painters. Um, With the brayer, I've done multiple kinds of underpaintings where you can do a alcohol wash with pastel. You can use watercolor. A lot of times artists combine these techniques with pastel. So in that sense, I'm doing a pastel underpainting, adding the brayer, and then doing pastel on top. Make
Gotcha.
sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now y'all have a reference photo in front of you. Why I love the brayer. It is so, it helps me to simplify things. I like kind of graphic imagery too. So you get a very clean graphic underpainting. It also creates structure in the painting, and kind of a place to guide you of where you lay your pastel, and it also kind of gives a continuity when you have it It connects the painting as you build out the pastel on top of the Brayer painting. Okay, so here we go. The hardest part is the straight line.
That's
I'm gonna
impressive.
try. Yeah, I'm gonna try. Thank you, risdi, for having a whole semester of drawing straight lines. So that is why I transferred out of graphic design. But here is, I'm gonna do all kinds of things. I'm just laying in those back shapes. You can't get stuck in the details. I find this to be such a great teaching tool for students too, because so many people who want to loosen up, and mind you, this is for expressive painting, this is not realism. I know you guys just got done with realism live, and I don't think this would be a technique you would use if you're trying to do more realistic paintings. This is a
Right.
technique, to create expressive paintings, and then often I will depart from looking even at my source or the scene in front of me and respond to what is happening on the paper. So I have my backdrop. Now I'm gonna kind of get those grasses in. This is a scene out in Long Island near my brother has a home out there, and I'm very lucky to get to go visit. I'm kind of painting off to the end here, so I'm going to have to step in front of it to make sure I'm not ending in the center of the painting, which we know we don't like to do. So my center is about there. I might move this over a little. So you can see how it's kind of like a large scale no time. If you value and know tons to understand and design your painting is a tool that many artists use. Many students do them in class and then really don't want to do them at home, but I highly recommend it because it really helps you work out the quirks of your and the composition of your painting. So there's these foreground grasses, and I'm just masking in, kind of massing in where the darks and lights are, and working through the flow of the painting. And I'm probably almost done here with the Brayer part. I want to get a few more darks in here. And I also want to carry this up here. So right now I'm kind of taking my artistic liberty with the composition. You don't really see the grasses going up that high, but I kind of like that feel of that upward motion happening there. I love to work with negative space, so leaving some of the paper untouched. Often I find that's the hardest thing, is remembering not to cover the whole painting. Often I will do a Brayer painting and end it there and frame it because I'm like, oh,
You
I
like
just
it.
love how that looks. Yes. Or play with your underpainting. Your pastel underpainting could be variegated, right? You could do like blues to purples, or it's endless. So I encourage everyone watching this to get in their studio and have some fun, put some music on, play, and just, roll away with the Brayer here. All right, so Brayer painting's up. I see that this is pretty thick, this back part. So you can hear that it's a sanded surface I'm working on. I'm going to kind of scrape a little of that off. Maybe I'll even use some of that paint to. And you have to remember, I can cover this completely with pastel, or I can leave it exposed. Sometimes you get some really, really cool marks you know, I try to leave them exposed, and sometimes you get a big blob that you don't like and you want to cover that up. So I just there took a little bit of the paper. The razor blade. One of the things I like about the razor blade, and I'll do this more later, is it digs into the surface of the paper. So when I put pastel on top of it, I will get that kind of relief. And it does some of the work for me in creating grasses.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now that I have, that would be what my brayer is used for. So I have my structure for my painting on my paper or my canvas. And now I'm going to switch to using the pastels. I just have to switch my little palette here. Okay, now with the pastels, I also use some other tools. Again, the razor blade. This is just the back of a paintbrush like I showed before. Sometimes I use the front. This is just a really worn down one to scratch into the surface. This is a pastel brush, which I like. That's more for removing pastel, this one.
Yeah.
And then an old knitting needle where I lost the other one. So it makes great scratching of the surface, which I'll show you all.
And you said your paper is a sanded paper, right?
This is a sanded paper. Yes, that I'm working on now. Hopefully I'm going to have time to do 2 of these because I'm pretty quick. I'm going to work them through to a certain point because I also want to show you working on printmaking paper and using an image like this, a Brayer drawing, as my reference with no photographic reference at all to create the painting. So, but let's get back to this one. All right, now, so now just like I would in a pastel painting, I am going to start to add in some pastel on top of this and get my darks laid in. And it's also really interesting. You can take like colored cardstock and do a Brayer painting on top of that colored cardstock to get a sense of what background color you want. So do
Mm-hmm.
a paint, and I just loved this golden color. It could be purple, and I'll create a completely different painting. And I'm not like if you see the photo reference we're using it's very blue purple. And I said, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to show everybody how you can you don't have to do exactly. And so many people now, yeah, so many people now work from photos. I recommend getting out there. I recommend getting outside with your Brayer and painting, doing Brayer sketches outside and then bringing them into your studio and adding color to them. And you can take a photo reference or do a small live painting, plein air, because that always informs you so much. But this is showing you how you can depart from your photo. I kind of leaned into the color of the grasses that are in here for my background. And whether I paint the sky or not, I'm not sure because I'm really liking this contrast right now. So that was here, and I have a little strip. I'm going to pull it up, I think, a little closer. I don't know if you can see this real well. This is kind of my palette that I pre-selected to work from. Whether I stick to that is another question. So coming from I come from a printmaking, textile, and fashion background. And about 10 years ago, I started to just want to create fine art. And I found I had an artist when I reached out to someone for a mentoring session and to review my work. And they said I had a very printmakerly quality to my work because my understanding of color when I studied color was the relationships of colors to one another, not necessarily aerial perspective,
Mm-hmm.
pulling you into the painting. So I think that's one of the reasons also why I love the Brayer so much, because, and she gave me this, gave me permission to embrace that,
Right.
embrace that in your work, that quality. Don't fight it. I mean, I have training, and that was huge for me. That, and then being introduced to the Brayer itself, which made sense that I would like it given the kind of print, it's a printmaking tool.
Sure.
So now I can see it's starting to pull together with very quickly. I'm gonna deepen this up a little.
I've come to find that I think yellow ochre is my favorite color in pastel
Yeah,
paintings.
it is a beauty, isn't it? It's so rich. Especially this, do you ever find that when, depending on the season, like you're living in, that you find you like different colors? Like here we're in fall, so I find I even if I'm looking at this evening painting with the purples and stuff, I just want to paint it in fall colors.
Yeah. Well, I've come to find, so I don't paint, I'm just starting with more landscape painting, and I've come to find that I really like my mountains to be like a blue golden color. I finally
Oh,
found like
fun.
my little niche for how I
Yeah.
paint. So now I just have to stock up.
Yeah, you'll find your favorite colors. We all have like 50,000 pastels, and then we use like 10 of them.
Yeah.
It's true. That's why, it does help. I know for me, it helps for me to try and pull some colors out. I also love to do these big sweeping marks. So,
So when you
typically,
go to pick colors for this painting, do you just like imagine it in your head, or are you pulling colors from something and saying, okay, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one?
I'm
Because I
pulling
always,
colors saying, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. I mean, you can see in the photo, I still carried the gold in.
Mhm.
Kind of this color of the marsh, and I really like that. And yeah, and this I will pull some, and then of course I have my whole tray of pastels in access, which right now are on the other side of the camera. So I pre-picked them all this time, but I will go in. Typically, I will start with a palette. So this one, I knew I would have the black, obviously the Brayer. I wanted the gold underpainting. I still wanted it to read somewhat realistic, true color, in terms of, you can tell this is a marsh scene, right? I'm not trying to completely abstract it. So and then so my core colors would be what I have on here now. So I pulled them, and then I would know I would want some kind of blue for the sky, in case I would want the sky happening, and then I needed something to put in for the highlight for water. So that's really where I start. I get that all on, and then I might go into my box and pick some accent colors. And because I've been painting a while, I'm like, I really love like this turquoise. So you'll see I'll put just little hints of it, because to have your eye travel through the painting from front to back, just to add kind of like a sparkle, right, to the
Mhm.
painting. So now what I'm going to do is take one of these sponges.
Oh yeah,
Um, they're
like the pan
used
pastel sponges.
they're used for pan pastel. Um, and I'm going to do a little smudging. Yep, I know for years I never smudged, but I'm a smudger now, so it's like a dance. You go back and forth. You take
Yeah.
out marks, you put marks in. You take out. That's what's so beautiful about pastel. is you can take out marks and you can put them back in. I mean, so I'm kind of smudging this up a little.
So you've covered most of the oil that you put on there. So that's really adding the texture to the painting, right? Like that's what you're using it for underneath.
Yeah, and it's a road map. Okay, but you can still, if you probably can't see on your camera there, but you can still see textures coming through,
Mhm.
and it's not completely covered. And then this is a good, when I get to it, you'll see why I also have it on there. But it's it really is a structure. It's like putting it's similar to putting down a 𝗖𝗿𝗲𝘁𝗶 or like road mapping with
Mhm.
your neutrals underneath for a plein air or traditional painting style. But instead I use the paint because I tend to get nitpicky with the pastel. Also, you know, you build and you build and you build with the pastel, and if I'm heavy handed, it can be problematic sometimes. So I find this really works nicely. And the pastel goes over it, and I'll show you. Then I can take my razor and I can dig back into it. And I'm just going to start adding more marks. Okay. Now I'm going to add something in here. See if I like. This is the one grayish.
So you've got a little less than 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So let me just get these little popped highlights on here because I'm going to show you the other one real quick.
Did you say pot pie lights? Oh,
Popped
pop highlights.
highlights.
I was like, I do love pot pie, but I didn't realize you
Yeah,
could do that in
and
painting.
Thanksgiving is coming, so
That's what I'm going to call them from now on, pot pie lights.
pop pie lights. I might add a little. Don't like that back there, but I do like it in here. Wow, that went really fast, you guys.
I know.
Okay, I definitely over prepared here. So I'm going to add perhaps, not that one. Get this in here really fast. I don't think I'm going to put anything in the sky. What do you want, Carrie? You want me to do the sky?
Sure. You do
All
whatever.
right. Yeah. Just put a little bit of color up there that can follow into here a little. And then I will take a little black. So this also will bring the brayer, pull the brayer back out by adding on top. And then, okay, it's not done, but I promised a friend that I would put my signature. So I'd say this painting is about halfway through. You would build it out just like you would any other pastel. I would probably work through this a little bit more. And then I have to sign my name. Which signing your name, you really want to think about
Where you're going to put it.
where you're going to put it. Oh, I like that color in there. All right, so that is
Yeah, is that like a teal? Is that a
yeah, like a
teal
teal.
color? Love it.
Yeah, it's like a blue teal. Wait, I have to put one more thing in this because it's not complete without it. So there's a little house, which is just a mark. And I want to get those grasses back here. Okay, and then I can quickly show you another technique, which is really fun. All right, so that's really what I do, why I love the Brayer. And I would probably put this, sometimes I'll spend a day and I will work on like 3 startings of a painting. This is a starting. And then I will go on and let them sit, come back to them, revisit the next day, and get kind of slower. I always start fast and slow. But that, and I don't know if you can see, but can you see there where the Brayer is still showing through
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
you can
paper?
definitely see it.
Yeah. Okay. So
I
that's
do like
one.
the
Now,
texture in the grass lines.
yeah, yeah, and it makes it having that structure underneath. Pastel moves around, right? It can move around some, at least for me. So having that paint underneath, it doesn't move. And then depending, you can really get into scraping into it and use it to create, make your life easy, right? By creating the
Sure.
marks for you.
So we've got a couple questions in the chat. So
Sure.
there's some comments about how oil paint can deteriorate non-primed paper. So
Yes.
how are you addressing that with the paper that you are using? Is it primed?
With the printmaking paper can hold the water mixable oil paint, not regular oil paint.
Gotcha.
And the sandpaper that I am using right now, I contacted the provider to see if it was able to withstand having the water mixable oil paint on it, and they had told me yes. So I
Okay.
can't say the name unless you want me to, but so yeah, so you can reach out to the manufacturer of the paper. So I've had no issues with that. And then yes, when I'm practicing on newsprint, illustration board, cardstock, any of that stuff, yeah, that's not going to last forever. But the other paper's so expensive, and I go through so much paper. I want to have something to experiment on. Not everything is not going to be a final masterpiece.
Since this is so specific, can you go ahead and tell us the sanded paper that you're using?
I am using UART,
Okay.
and I'll use 400, and it's kind of my workhorse.
It
Yeah.
is. Everybody loves
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So here's my little palette. I'm going to take it down, but I'm going to try to work on this. I'm going to be real fast
Okay.
with this because what we have.
I like 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can do this. Okay.
And normally we would have more time. Everybody who's watching, we have an event coming up right after this. I'll give you more information about that in just a minute. So we have to cut this broadcast a little short today.
That's okay. I'm fast. I'm a fast painter, so I'm always like, I always try to be over prepared in case I run out of if I run out of things to do.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to overwork your paintings, which is always a challenge of knowing when to stop. Like I said, because sometimes I just do the Brayer painting and I don't even want to put anything on top of it. So it can be an art form in and of itself.
We're gonna have to try this when you come in December. I'm gonna have to paint
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. And when I teach workshops, this is a big tool. It's a great. I've had great success with students who want to create more expressive paintings, people who are very tight, who don't want to be, I mean, I
That is
love realism.
exactly me. I don't want to be tight, but that's how my brain operates.
And a lot of times when you're beginning, that's what happens. I mean, either you're going to become a beautiful realist painter, or you're struggling to let go. And if you're not going to play in your studio and you're not going to just try things and be kind to yourself and allow yourself to kind of be a kid again. That's why I like to work with less expensive materials when I'm practicing. And sometimes that'll be for days, you know, and then I'll say, oh, okay, I'm ready to create and to work through a series. Like if you're in the process of trying to come up with a series. So oh shoot, I put my brayer on here. I wasn't going to do that. But anyway, we'll go this way. Actually, I'm going to switch it. I got so hung up on talking to you about the brayer. My next little demo I want to show you is to look at a brayer drawing painting that you have. And we have a slide of one that I was just about to paint.
Hold on, let me see. Amandine had to step away for a moment.
Okay.
So let me
It's
see.
basically kind of like this, but
this one here.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so now I'm going to, and you know, I always know I'm going to mess up a little, so I have another piece of paper ready to roll right here.
Nice.
This is printmaking paper. And you can do this on printmaking paper, or, you know, prepare your sanded pastel paper, however you like to do your underpaintings. Like if you want to have a color, you can do exactly what I did on the last one. And now I'm going to go straight in with my pastel. And I think I gave you a little. Nope. This is the palette. I'm going to try and stick to.
Okay, we're at about 10 minutes.
Yep, I'm good. Thank you. I'm going to start with a deep blue, it's like a navy, almost black. Again, gotta get that straight line. You can use a T-square. I'm going to take this off because I like to use the whole page. The size of my paper is about 18. I mean, what is it? Like 18 by 26, I think. I cut it down a little. It's not a standard size because these series I'm working on right now are elongated. So again, you're getting your background. I'm going to get this on there. I'm kind of copying the Brayer, but I'm just using pastel. And I like to look at those, like, where are those strong darks that I have? I liked over here, this just kind of this abstract shape. It's a more subtle kind of monochromatic palette. So I'm not looking at any photo reference. I'm only looking at my Brayer drawing. I'm going to take my handy sponge. Kind of gives it almost like a watercolor feel.
Yeah, it does.
Looking at that reference. Again, this is just the start. And then I'm going to start to add some more color. I want to get this dark. So I'm going to use a really dark. Actually, I'm going to go black here. Okay, I got like 4 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now I love these marks. This is like painting on speed. which I like. Well, I don't like to be on speed, but I like to be fast. Start,
It makes
start
me think that
fast,
I always like to paint fast.
paint fast and slow. My mentor always says to me, okay, now it's time to slow it down, Ann. You know, you gotta, it's good to go fast, but all right, now I want to get some of this fun color in here that it's kind of, so let's see, what do I want to do?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. And my sponge, I got a nice new one, so I wouldn't put a big black blob in my sky for you guys today.
Do the Brayers come in different sizes, or is it pretty standard?
They come in like you can get 1/2 inch is the smallest. I haven't found real small ones. That's why you tend to work pretty large when you're using this technique. Again, I like to break this up here. Let's see, my reference have this. I want to put a little purples, kind of purplies in here. Start pulling some kind of abstracted color.
Ooh, that's nice. That gives a nice little pop.
Yeah. It's funny coming from a fashion background, everything is very, well, I tended to design in a very muted palette, you know,
Yeah.
very neutral, or so it's just so fun, like playing. And that's one of the fun things about pastel is these beautiful colors. So I'm doing this really fast. So but you can see. So if I had this, and if you've never kind of abstracted something, if I had the actual true colors in front of me, it would be really hard to remove myself from seeing those colors and putting abstract color on the surface. So I would build this out, further and further, but basically you're seeing how the structure comes about and the process of bringing it to life.
Yeah. This is cool. I'm gonna have to try this. I love the idea of abstracting it.
Yeah. And then also step back. Like I'm between you and a camera. So, but stepping back, taking a look, now I'm seeing, okay, this might be extreme, but I want to add like some real, like light, kind of light source coming in here. And it'll just build out from there, on and on and on and on. And I think that's it, right? Time wise, I'm out of time.
But you did a great job showing us how you got to these points. I really love it.
Yeah, you can get the base of your painting in pretty quickly. And you are simplifying, like, as a learning tool to simplify when you're in a class, and and you don't get hung up in all the grasses. If you're working with a brayer, you start with the brayer, or you start with a brayer drawing as your reference, you're eliminating all this information you don't need.
Yeah, that's definitely my problem. I end up putting in every blade of grass.
Yeah, and then you can go back in and build it out as much as you want. You can take this as a starting point, and then you can put in as many grasses as you like, or not, or even get into, I'm experimenting with just using horizontal and vertical stripes, which I'm not nowhere near ready to show how to do that yet. but yeah, so I encourage everyone to give it a shot, and if you want to loosen up, put some loud music on and just have some fun behind the easel. Use inexpensive paper and just do 10 in a row, and you're just going to love it. And then use it intentionally. So start out playing, see what you like, take what you like and what you've learned, get a nice piece of paper, and do what you liked intentionally to create a painting.
I'm
Make sense?
excited to try this. Yeah, it
Okay.
does. I'm super excited to try this. Thank you, Anne.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so
Oh, I'll
sorry that
hold it.
we, of all the days that we had to have you on, it had to be the day that we have to cut our broadcast short today.
No,
But
that's fine by me. I'm good. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad. I'm good with that. It's good.
good. Well,
Okay.
everybody, check out Anne's website. We put that in the chat. Check her out on Instagram. She has wonderful work. And Jacques says, "Can you get her again?" Yes, we will try to get her again sometime in the new year. The reason we have to cut our broadcast short today is because we have to switch over to another event that we are having today. We have Thomas Schaller coming to talk with Eric about 10 essential steps to creating your best watercolor paintings yet. So if you have time on your break, wherever you are, switch over from here to there, and you'll get to see me again, and you'll get to see Eric and Thomas, and it's going to be a great time. And I once again want to thank Anne so much for joining us today. And so sorry we had to cut her short, but I love these techniques that she showed. I'm really excited to get in the studio and actually try this because I have such a hard time being more abstract. So I'm really excited to get going with this. So thank you guys all so much for joining us today. Thank you to Anne for joining us. And I will see some of you probably in just a few minutes over at our watercolor webinar with Thomas Schaller. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Okay.